Good evening and welcome to Viral War News. If you are joining us right now, what you are about to hear is not speculation, not rumor, and not recycled headlines, but a clear reconstruction of how a single dawn strike reshaped the eastern battlefield in ways that Russian commanders did not anticipate and could not stop. As the first light crept over the horizon this morning, while most of the world was still asleep, Ukraine executed a precision operation that targeted something far more valuable than individual tanks or frontline units. It targeted the system that keeps Russian armor alive, moving, and relevant. And when that system failed, the entire eastern line began to unravel. For months, Russia had treated its armored supply route in the east as a given. It was assumed to be protected, reinforced, and reliable. Convoys moved along it with increasing confidence. Fuel trucks, ammunition carriers, engineering vehicles, and armored columns flowed through this corridor as if it were untouchable. That confidence is now gone. By mid-morning, reports began to emerge of stalled vehicles, disrupted traffic, abandoned equipment, and confused command orders. Not because Russian forces were overwhelmed in a direct fight, but because the road they depended on simply stopped working. Here on Viral War News, we focus on how wars are actually fought, not how they are advertised. And what happened at dawn today is a textbook example of modern warfare. Ukraine did not need to win a massive tank battle. It did not need to level cities or expend enormous resources. Instead, it identified a pressure point and applied force with timing, precision, and intent. The result was a cascading failure that spread faster than any explosion could. This strike matters because it reveals how fragile even the largest military machines become when their logistics are exposed. Tanks are powerful, but they are also hungry. They require constant fuel, constant maintenance, constant coordination. Remove one of those elements, and the entire structure begins to collapse. Ukraine understood this, and today they acted on that understanding. Tonight, we will take you step by step through what happened, why it worked, and what it means for the future of the Eastern Front. Stay with Viral War News, because this is one of those moments that will be studied long after the headlines move on. The Russian military has long emphasized armored warfare as a symbol of strength. Rows of tanks, heavy vehicles advancing in formation, the visual language of dominance. But behind that image lies a complex logistical network that must function perfectly for armor to matter at all. Fuel depots must be stocked. Roads must be clear. Bridges must be intact. Repair crews must be positioned. Communications must flow without interruption. When any part of that network fails, the armor becomes stranded, ineffective, and vulnerable. Ukraine spent months observing how this network operated along the eastern line. They watched where convoys slowed down, where they stopped to refuel, where traffic bottlenecks formed. Drones hovered at high altitude. Satellites captured patterns invisible to the naked eye. Signals intelligence mapped communication spikes that revealed command habits. Over time, a clear picture emerged. One route carried an outsized share of Russia's armored logistics, and it did so with increasing predictability. Predictability is comfort for logistics planners, but it is danger in a contested environment. When routes become routine, they become targets. Ukraine did not rush to strike. They waited, they refined their understanding. They identified not just the road itself, but the points along it where disruption would have the greatest impact. A damaged bridge here, a cratered intersection there, a destroyed fuel node just far enough from the front to paralyze movement without triggering immediate repair. The choice of dawn was deliberate. In the early morning hours, night crews are fatigued, day crews are not fully operational, and visibility is in transition. Sensors recalibrate, human attention dips. Ukraine exploited that window. The first impacts did not announce themselves with dramatic explosions meant for cameras. They quietly removed functionality from the route. Roads became impassable. Rail connections feeding the corridor were disrupted. Fuel storage sites went offline. As Russian units attempted to move along the route, they encountered confusion. Vehicles slowed, convoys compressed, orders began to conflict. Some commanders pushed units forward, unaware that the route ahead was compromised. Others ordered retreats that clogged already damaged roads. The result was gridlock not from enemy fire, but from systemic failure. By the time Russian command realized the scope of the problem, it was too late to reverse.
They are preparing another wave.
Inadequate. Secondary roads could not support heavy armor at scale. Detours increased breakdowns and exposure. Every attempt to adapt made the situation worse. Tanks ran low on fuel, ammunition deliveries failed to arrive, repair crews could not reach disabled vehicles. This is where the psychological impact took hold. Soldiers who rely on armor for protection suddenly found themselves without it. Infantry units waiting for support understood that it was not coming. Confidence eroded rapidly. In warfare, perception matters as much as reality. When troops believe their system has failed, effectiveness drops sharply. Ukraine anticipated this reaction. Rather than rushing forward into uncertain terrain, they applied pressure selectively. They used surveillance to monitor Russian movements, not to chase every stranded vehicle, but to ensure that recovery and rerouting efforts remained ineffective. The goal was not immediate destruction. The goal was paralysis. Throughout the morning and into the afternoon, the Eastern Line changed character. What had been an active, armor-supported front became cautious and defensive.
Selection now.
Russian units conserved resources. Planned operations were delayed or canceled. Commanders focused on stabilizing rather than advancing. All of this stemmed from one successful disruption. This strike also highlights a broader shift in Ukraine's approach to the war. Increasingly, Ukrainian strategy emphasizes systems over symbols. Instead of chasing dramatic battlefield moments, they target the underlying mechanisms that sustain enemy operations. Fuel, logistics, communications, and morale are treated as primary targets. When those fail, even the most formidable weapons lose their value. Russia's reliance on centralized planning and rigid logistics made this outcome more severe. Adaptation takes time in such systems, and time is a luxury not afforded on a modern battlefield. Ukraine's more flexible, sensor-driven command structure allowed them to exploit the window created by the strike fully. As the day progressed, open source imagery and reports confirmed what Ukrainian planners already knew. The armored route was no longer functional. Equipment sat idle. Units repositioned defensively. The Eastern Line, once sustained by this corridor, was weakened across multiple sectors. This moment will not end the war, but it will shape what comes next. Russia will be forced to adjust, to rebuild, to find new routes. That takes time, resources, and confidence, all of which are in shorter supply than before. Ukraine, meanwhile, has demonstrated that it can strike decisively without overextending itself. As we look ahead, the implications are clear. Modern warfare rewards intelligence, patience, and precision more than brute force. The dawn strike on the Eastern Armor route was not loud, but it was profound. It showed that control of movement matters more than control of territory, and that breaking a system can be more effective than breaking individual units. As this story continues to develop, Viral War News will keep bringing you clear analysis and grounded reporting. If you want to stay informed about how this war is evolving and why these moments matter, make sure you are subscribed to Viral War News. Click the subscribe button, stay with us, and we will continue to break down the events that are reshaping the battlefield, one decisive moment at a time.